Hi, I'm Dr. O.
And I'm Dr. Amy, and we're here to remind you of some of the very simplest ways to get fluid, pain, and heat out of injuries on your horse.
One of the very first alternative therapies, one of the most economical alternative therapies, and probably, I would think, one of the most overlooked alternative therapies is water. Just water.
You can see here before us we have several products. They're made by Ice Horse, and these are cooling wraps. They come with a specialized pre-made insert that stays cold, gets cold, and stays cold to be placed on your horse. And then the wraps are specially made anatomical wraps to make it not only easier, but sometimes possible to get an area cooled down in a safe and economic way so that your horse isn't injured, so that you're not injured, so that we can get things cool. We forget oftentimes that cold, which can come from just plain cold water or ice, does an awful lot in terms of decreasing inflammation, decreasing all the blood byproducts that accumulate in a joint or in a wound, does an awful lot in terms of quieting excessive filling to damaged areas.
When we look at our inflammation cascade here, and this is a real complicated chart that Dr. Amy and I have made up, but it shows inflammation. And when we look over here at the left side of the chart, we see the healthy horses. We look over here at the right side of the chart, we see the unhealthy horses or the inflamed horses. And if you notice all the arrows in the middle, none of those arrows go back to healthy horses. It's a vicious circle, and they all kind of lead over here. So once the inflammation cascade starts,
you want to stop it very quickly.
We need to stop it quickly. And one of the quickest, most economical ways to stop that inflammation cascade is with cold.
Yes.
The cold will decrease circulation to the area. It will decrease. By decreasing circulation, it's going to decrease inflammation. It will decrease edema and swelling. By decreasing the temperature, some of the enzymes in the tissue that are released when the cells die because of inflammation, some of those enzymes are inactivated. Some of our proteinases, some of our cartilagenases actually become inactive if we can get down below 90 degrees. And so that's a good thing because we can help the...
we can actually get less damage to the tissue. As every cell dies, it releases a huge amount of histamine. Most of us are familiar with that and don't realize that every cell that dies releases histamine. It's our friend when we see it in terms of the death of a cell, but it's not necessarily our friend when we look at things like allergies and metabolic issues that it can actually cause in the long run, because histamine release can elevate over time and cause more cell damage. So what we have here are some anatomic ways to get ice to things that aren't necessarily easy. This is the big black boot. It goes on the foot of the horse. And in lots of instances when we have foot and lower pastern damage, this is a great way to get that ice on there, keep it on there tight for the 10 minutes that we need to cool the tissues. Anything over 10 minutes, anything into 15 or 20 minutes of cooling actually begins to go in reverse and start to damage tissues. We have a hock wrap. Oh my goodness, who wants to wrap a hock? It's the strangest shaped anatomical part in any animal I've ever seen. But this really nice hock wrap is shaped to fit around the hock to protect the bones and tendons that we don't want to use and to stay in place. When we wrap things that are higher up, we oftentimes need something to support them. This is our knee and leg wrap, and you can see that it's anatomically curved to fit around that leg all the way up to the knee, so that we don't have to put wraps below it to hold it up in place to keep it from sliding down on the leg. And then, not to forget, our Pastern Wraps. And these are for those injuries lower in the leg where we oftentimes want to cool them after athletic events. So athletic events, damage to tissue, and injury are all good reasons to want to cool something down.
But let's not forget that just because this is a fetlock and Pastern wrap, we can use it on the neck, on the bottom of the neck. We can use it on the top of the neck. This one here works awesome on the back. Under a saddle injury, where the saddle is rubbing, we can use this on the back to get that inflammation out of the back. Now, but we don't want to forget and just work strictly on the ice, because we want to use ice anytime the tissue is hot. So if we have hot tissue, we're going to use ice. If the tissue's cool and after those initial signs of inflammation, then let's heat the tissue, because we're going to get the opposite effect. So we're going to start getting increased circulation.
That's right, Dr. O. 10 minutes of ice, 10 minutes of heat, then 10 minutes of ice. In that order every time. If we've got chronic issues, that's a whole different deal. But for acute and rehabilitative issues, ice, then heat, then ice.
That's correct. Let's go out to the horse and we'll show you the application of one of these products. All right, so we've talked hot, cold, the implications of it. Now we're looking at a hock injury here on this horse, and how are we going to get this particular injury to put heat and cold on it. This particular product right here is one of the ice horse wraps. We took the gel packs out of the deep freeze, and we're going to stick this on here just like a normal hock wrap, and we're going to leave this on there for probably, with this hair coat and in the temperature that we're having today, we're going to leave that on there for 15 to 20 minutes. Then we're going to go ahead and come out, and we will put the hot on it. And you can see that as it's starting to cool, this product is working. He's starting to feel that there. But then we'll put some heat on it, because we're at the point of the injury now where we can alternate the hot and the cold. So we're going to put heat on it for 15 to 20 minutes. And then we would ice it probably again one more time before we turn him back out in the pasture tonight.
All right, so we've shown you some applications, how to put some of these really hard to wrap areas together. Don't forget that especially in immediate injury, but also in rehabilitative situations, don't forget to use the age-old, good old ice, and then a little bit of warmth and some ice.